To wrap it up. Overheard some questions, so I'll take questions. One question I heard, tell me if this is a good one, about what about an evil person doesn't deserve respect? We have that as a question? Any other questions you want to throw in there? You go, let me hear.
I was asking in our group about respect people that don't give you respect back. You want to be the bigger person, right? You start off giving respect by trying to live them and respect them. But if someone's constantly disrespecting you or embarrassing you or things like that, someone's blatantly disrespecting you, are you expected to continue to respect them?
No.
A tipping point?
There's a definite tipping point. So I think, like, let's say in answer to that question specifically, so a lot of times people don't know. And I think unless you share with people your alarm code, let's say we have neighbors, they go away. Like, okay, if anything happens, here's my alarm code. So I need to know what your code is. So too, there are certain things that I didn't know that you find that disrespectful. So as an example, let's say the way you said hello to me was patting me on my head. Be like, hey, took off my yarmulke, whoa, hey, it's doing. And that's a sign of love in your family. So I would have to take you, I'm like, what is this guy nuts? How can he do this? I would take you aside, I would say, listen, I know that's a sign of love wherever you come from, but it's really not a sign of love for me, and I would appreciate if you don't rub my head. So now, and the guy's like, hey, oh, come on, loosen up. Listen, I'm not sure if I made this clear, but I really don't appreciate when you do that, so you kind of lay off of that. I would really do that. And if there's anything, by the way, that I'm doing that's disrespecting you, please, by all means, do that. And you give that person a third warning. At that point, I think what you do is institute the iPod theory of distance. The iPod theory of distance is something I made up, which is that I'm on the subway, I see you, I hear you, I can even hear the train announcer. Because I'm listening to music, I feel a sense of distance. So too, this person's just like, hey, how come you never call me? You want to know? Remember I keep telling you about rubbing my head all the time and giving me noogies? I really don't like that. And come to my party. No, I'm not going to do that. Because I don't have a mitzvah to be in a disrespected zone. And I think everybody's allowed to, I've yet to figure it out on my iPhone. Like I said, I want to take a picture, but I'm like not always good with like the zoom in, zoom out. But you could zoom people in and zoom people out in your life. Like, okay, this person obviously has a problem that I've warned them about, I've asked them about respectfully. I've respectfully requested. I personally, all due respect, I don't like harsh language. I don't like loud, things. And I definitely don't like cursing. So it's like, hey, do me a favor, don't do that. If I ask you repeatedly, that changes the game. I don't think we have to be martyrs. Any other questions? And similar to those who went to Israel, I spoke about that friends are intentional environments. Just like with friends in general, you could move the equalizer, move people in, move people out, and I do believe in a quarterly review about the circle of your friends. Be like, what's this person doing here? Maybe that good person I should bring closer. This person that calls me every time I step in the door, I swear they have a deal with my doorman, knowing when I walk in, be like, oh my gosh, I have an amazing day to tell you about. Okay, that person I might have to distance, hence caller ID. Okay, and wrapping up, insofar as evil people, the Gemara discusses that, because it says for an old person you have to stand up. And the Gemara says, it implies even someone that's evil. And there's an argument in the commentaries that says, some people say it means not an evil person, but an ignorant person you stand up for, or it means someone who's evil, but they aren't aware of that. So in other words, insofar as someone that's evil, I don't respect them. And if they're evil, but it's unintentional evil because they're unaware, well, if they're older, I can respect them. But in general, giving respect to someone that's evil is not always a good thing. The operative word in our generation is dignity. You're allowed to demand it. It's oxygen, and you're allowed to ask for it. And sometimes we feel bad. I'm telling you, I was out for lunch with someone. I struggled to this day to do that whole hand signal thing with the check. I'm like, it's not natural. I go out with people at lunch, like, hey, waiter, check. It's me, excuse me? I'm sorry, okay, fine. I'll wait later. It's not natural for me. But I don't have to go to some form of seminar to work on my putting my finger up and getting a check. But I do have a right and an obligation to live and view myself as dignified. And if I don't have that dignity, then I'm inoperable. I have to live with dignity. Where do we need inoculation? Flu season, flu shot. We need inoculation living in 2012 in postmodern Western civilization. Because obviously, which is a larger discussion, we respect those people who are liked by many people. So if you're an actor and many people like you, well, since lots of people like you, the more people like you, the better you are. If millions of people like you, you are really good. So I must respect you. All respect is based on what other people say. Now, and that's where FOMO comes from, fear of missing out. Because just like if respect in general comes on what other people say, well, happiness is outside of me, and I'm probably missing it. So if I go to this place Saturday night, I'm probably missing out on something else. The whole concept of respect is outside of my control, good times are outside of my control, that makes us feel perpetually inadequate. But if you realize the respect starts here, I have to respect my own life and myself, and then I will attract a group of people that are of like mind. And I'm allowed to change the mix in life. I might be a frat brother with someone, and I'll always remain loyal, but I don't have to have them in my daily mix. And just as a take-home point, because we're on breakdown until January 21st, what are ways that I personally train in respect? Well, two things. One, and this might sound novel, but I think it's important, is that there are many people that they look at this book once a day. It's called the Chafetz Chaim, about not speaking negatively. There's a mitzvah in the Torah, don't speak lashon, language, hara, negatively. In other words, we don't sit and we don't jab on people. I don't want to hear it. I don't speak that. So there are many people, it takes about a minute a day, they break it up into the calendar, they learn one law a day about speaking lashon hara, about not speaking negatively. I'll give you a secret. I really think that that's a key to self-respect. How? Because it's not about ooh, don't speak bad. It's not about naughty, that's bad, I don't want to talk that way. It means, you know why I don't want to talk negative about that person? I don't want to trash talk that person behind their back. Not because of them, although that might be the start of it. It's because of me. It's beneath my dignity to thrive on the negative. And if I fall with my own self-respect, then I'll fall in this area. So I think that's one idea. And the other idea is obviously that anything that's important, you do consistently. Like we've spoken. Heartbeat. It's a great thing that's involuntary because it's very important. You should do it all the time as much as possible. And if you had to remind yourself or set an alarm on your iPhone to have your heart beat, you'll all be in trouble. It beats involuntarily because it's important. You breathe. Hopefully involuntarily. Oh, I've been so busy. Totally forgot to breathe. It'll be bad. It wouldn't survive. Everything that's vital has to happen on an automatic, consistent basis. Same thing with Torah. I need to respect myself. The only way I'll do that if I get LASIK surgery. All of us are due for LASIK. LASIK means I want to have clear eyes 24/7. And our LASIK surgery is that we expose our eyes to the Torah on a consistent, could be 3 minutes a day, but I consistently expose my eyes to that, and that will slowly improve my vision of myself and then of others. So as a metaphor, if that improvement it's important, you hold of it with a weight, then it works. If it's flippant, it doesn't work. So just as a metaphor, this is a really great book, and there's deep things. And it's a paperback, and it was printed in our modern day and age. Somebody knows that my great-great-grandfather was a Hasidic rabbi in the 1700s, and he published a book called The Light of Our Eyes. He illuminated people's eyes. Somebody found an early copy from Warsaw, 1881, and they bought me this book of my great-great-grandfather's works, and it's over, can't really add that well, but it's over 130 years old, from 1881 in Warsaw. So this is heavy to me. It's not physically heavy, but it's spiritually heavy. Someone gave this to me, I almost fainted. I'm like, really? Really? You're giving this to me? Because this is what I prioritize. And I try to look at it every day, maybe for a minute, because I want to work on my eyesight. Not just because I want points in heaven in a world to come, because I want to live now in a sane manner. And the sanity starts at home. So thank you guys for coming to this series.